Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Energy Talk with Angelsdo. Welcome. So, it is 7 p.m. on Friday night. This is the very first time that I'm doing this. And it's kind of like where we can just talk about different subjects that come up maybe during the week, or different topics, or maybe just a place to unwind on a Friday night. And I figured we could pick a topic, and I picked ego for this week because that's what I'm really struggling with the most. We can be on a spiritual journey, we can be on a spiritual path, but there's also a humanness about us, and that humanness, being in that third dimensional thinking, fourth dimensional thinking, can really wreak havoc on us sometimes if we're not energetically where we need to be. And for me personally, when I slip back into that third dimensional consciousness, it's actually very painful for me, because I know what it feels like to be higher than that, and to be able to lead with my heart chakra, and lead without judgment, and lead without ego. But we all have it, unfortunately, because we are humans. So the way that I'd like to go forward is that right now I don't even have any. I think there's 4 people in here. That, if somebody wants to talk, I can unmute your mic, and we can kind of just have a dialogue, because I really don't want to just sit here and talk to myself the whole time. So I am going to unmute the mic, and I figure what we could do so that everybody doesn't talk at the same time is just, I don't know, we'll figure it out. We're just going to figure it out. So I'm going to allow everyone to speak, because apparently I have that it's all muted. Hold on, I'm going to fix y'all. There we go. Allow to speak. Allow to speak. There we go. Allow to speak. So apparently I'm going to have to allow everyone to speak as they come in, and I'm not sure how that works, but welcome in, everyone. Thank you for being here. So tonight's topic, like I said, is going to be about ego, because that seems to be where my biggest struggle is for me, and I'm hoping that others have some things that they might want to share about ego, and then maybe by the end we can pick a topic for next week. Just give me a few minutes as people start to enter, so that I can unmute them and allow them to speak as they're coming in. So for those of you that don't know what ego is the part of the mind that mediates between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. It's the mediator. It's that space in the middle. And it can sometimes get us in trouble, because if we allow our ego to make major decisions for us, or allow it to affect our moods, or allow it in, I think I said decision making already, but sometimes our ego is not our friend. There's nothing wrong with having an ego, because a lot of times it's a good thing to have an ego, but you have to make sure that you have it in check, where you have your checks and balances, and that you don't turn into that victimhood of the why me syndrome. Why are people doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? And that's all part of taking back your power, which is what we learned in that very first master energy class. So if anybody wants to pipe in right now and say their take on ego, I am letting you all know this is recorded, just letting you know, and it will be uploaded to YouTube. Now you have an option of just talking, or you can actually click on your video, and you can do both. You can be on video as a dual screen. Jackie, you want to pop on real quick with me, and we can show them how it works? If you're open to it.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm eating and listening at the same time. Sorry.
Say, you didn't expect I was going to call you on the carpet.
No, but I'll step up, because I thought tonight's topic was a great topic to discuss. I have found that to be a challenging point throughout my journey of the ego, and that making decisions and really applying the learning to respond versus react, and setting some boundaries and goals for myself that, every day. And that ego check is right up there. So I
Yeah.
was happy to see this topic. And hi, everybody. I'm Jackie. I'm going to go back to eating my supper and listening.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thank you. I'm going to go in and see who else popped in so I can allow them to speak. Hello, Allison. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How's everybody?
Everybody seems to be doing good. We just started, as you know, about 5 minutes ago. And the topic tonight, we are talking about ego, and how it is the mediator between your conscious and your unconscious. And having an ego is not always necessarily bad, but you have to really keep it in check a lot of the times. And I know I've been struggling this week a lot with ego. As most of you know, I'm doing the master attunements, and I'd never done that before, and I'd never taught before. And each time I was doing the attunement, it was something different. If the feeling was different, and I immediately knew from the very first one that I had to let go. I had to let my ego go, because this attunement process was not about me. It was about the person that was receiving the attunement. And that was the very first one. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And so to be able to let go of that ego and allow that beautiful energy to flow, there's no words. And each person has a different experience as they go through the process themselves.
Oh,
so
yeah. I would say definitely. It used to take me, I definitely have to go through meditation to tap out of that operating an ego. And it used to take me, a full hour of yoga and then meditation, and then maybe possibly I'd get a glimpse of it. But it's hard to step out of it for sure.
Yeah, it is. And I think, so also I didn't say this in the beginning. When you're not talking, if you could just mute the mic,
Yeah.
because what happens is we get feedback, but doesn't mean you can't talk again. It just means when we're talking back and forth. But what I was going to ask you, Allison, is that, I think Allison and Stephanie and Jess, now that you've taken that master energy course, though, do you feel that it's a little bit easier to find the distinction between that white light energy and the ego, and able to step outside of that ego a little bit easier and a little bit quicker?
Yes. And
Yeah.
but I would, in all honesty, I would say 75% of the time I don't know. I equate it almost to like the 3D and the 5D analogy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, yeah, I want to be in the 5D, but I have to have one foot over here to participate in the 3D,
Well, I am gonna touch on that a little bit, though, because when I started my ascension process and I started working with the energy and I started really focusing on what was going on with me with my awakening phase, I very, very rarely go into 3-dimensional, very rarely. And as I mentioned earlier, when I do, or if I do, it's very painful for me. So knowing what you know now should be able to keep you in that 4th-dimensional consciousness almost at all times, because all that is, the 4th-dimensional consciousness, as you guys know, is just realizing that there's more than just you out there, that there's other dimensions, and there's other realities, and there's other things besides just that little 3rd-dimensional box. So I can't imagine.
Maybe I was being hard on myself. Maybe it's 4D more.
I was going to say, Allison, I can't imagine you being in 3D at all.
I was being a little hard on myself, I think.
Just a little bit. But thank you so much for sharing. I truly appreciate that, because, sometimes people can't see the difference between that 3rd-dimensional consciousness until you remind them of, no, you're definitely not there. You're definitely not there. There are many that are still struggling very much so between the 3D and the 4D, but they at least are now willing to acknowledge the 4D. I see those that have pretty much gone through the classes so far. You're between the 4 and the 5D. You've got 1 foot in the 4 and 1 foot in the 5 is more so. But again, we do slip back there. We do slip back there. Every single one of us. If we weren't human, we wouldn't. Jess, do you want to share anything after last night's experience?
I'll try to chime in just 1 second. I'm in the middle of trying to get the kids' food together, so I'm just kind of listening and preparing food.
Okay. No problem. Anybody else? Because I could just keep right on talking. All right, well, I'll just keep right on talking then. All right, so there
Hey, Donna,
are...
I do have a question.
Yes, Shayna.
Hey, for those who haven't taken your masterclass yet, can you briefly go through the differences between the 3, 4, and 5D, mindset? Am I saying it right?
Can. Yep, you are. It's not so much a mindset as it is a consciousness.
Yes.
Tanya, just give me 1 second. Tanya just came in. I'm going to unmute her microphone. Guys, if you're just coming in, make sure that your microphones stay muted unless you're talking, because I get a feedback on my end. I'm not sure if you all get a feedback on yours. But Shayna, that was a really good question. So thank you for asking it. And yes, that is taught in the Master Energy. It's taught very early on. It's one of the first courses that I teach, because it's extremely important to understand the difference between the 3rd dimensional consciousness, the 4th dimensional consciousness, and the 5th dimensional and higher. And 3rd dimensional consciousness is it is where all you think about is yourself. You're in this little box, and the only thing that matters is we're born into a 3D world. And I see a couple of people are trying to get in here from the channel over there, and they I guess they haven't scrolled up to see where the link is, so I keep seeing the messages pop up. But anyhow, the 3rd dimensional consciousness is what we're born into. We're born into the 3D world. Everything around us is 3rd dimensional, and as we grow in that 3D world, sometimes all we think about is the clothes that we're wearing, the house that we live in, the car that we drive, trying to get that ultimate career and be better than the other person. There's a sense of not enough for everybody when you're in that 3rd dimensional consciousness, that you have that fear that there's just not going to be enough all the time. When you step outside of that 3rd dimensional consciousness, and that's what we call the awakening, when people are starting to wake up, you start to realize, wait a minute, there's more to this than just getting up in the morning, having my breakfast, going to work, working all day, coming home, going to sleep, having my breakfast, and just having to have the best of everything. There's more to this. And that's when this awakening starts to happen. This 4th dimensional consciousness starts to take a life of its own. And in the 4th dimensional consciousness, again, we realize that there's more than just, guys, I'm going to have to jump over, excuse me for 1 second. I do have to, maybe somebody in here can do it for me. Jackie,
I'm
can you
working on it.
Yeah, thanks. If you could just get them in here, that would be great. Thank you, love. I'm sorry. So 4th dimensional consciousness, you realize that there's more than just yourself out there. You start to find empathy. You start to care about other people, and not in just, your normal human, you care about the other person. I mean, really start to feel those other people, really start to find that empathy and that your empathic abilities in that 4th dimensional consciousness. 5th dimensional consciousness is when you're in that meditative state. So when you go into meditation, or you have an out-of-body experience, your vibrations and your frequencies are extremely high. That's the other thing I didn't touch on, which I touch on in class, are the frequencies and the vibration. 3rd dimensional consciousness is a very low vibrational frequency, very low. 4th dimensional consciousness, your frequencies get a little bit higher. 5th dimensional consciousness higher, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and you can go all the way up into the galaxies with those frequencies and those vibrations. So when you're in that awakening awakening phase in that fourth dimensional consciousness, you realize that there's more out there, there's more to this. And then you start to really look internally and start looking at yourself in a different light. You start to see, I always use the analogy that when a baby first notices their fingers and their toes, that's kind of what 4D is like. Whoa, there's more to me than just me, you know? And then the fifth dimensional consciousness is when you're in that meditative state and you have those out-of-body experiences. You connect with spirit, you connect with the divine. People can also obtain that through prayer. Fifth dimensional consciousness is obtained through prayer. And then again, you can keep getting your frequencies higher and higher and higher. As human beings, we are the densest and the lowest vibrational frequency that there is as a human. People that are deceased, they're a little bit higher, and then you have your angels, which are a little bit higher, and then you've got your archangels, your ascended masters, your guardian angels, and there's a hierarchy even in the spirit world as far as vibration and frequency are concerned over there. So I hope that answered your question, Shanna. Thank you so much for asking it.
Yeah,
But it does kind of, you're welcome. It ties right into exactly what we're talking about tonight as far as your energy is. And whoops, I just clicked on Jess's face. All right, I'm going to let Callie pop in. So I think because it's the first time that we're having this talk in this channel, that every time someone comes in, I have to give them permission to have their microphone on in case they do want to talk. But I think if, each week that we do this, I don't think we'll have to have that happen. But if you're just coming in, again, we're talking about ego and how much that can get you in trouble. Does anybody else want to share? Come on, don't be shy.
Okay, I have another question. I'm sorry, I'm very inquisitive. I have to ask. Whenever dealing with ego and a person, we either handle things with fear or with love. When a person reacts or does things in their life according to, off of fear, when a person stops and does more for their self and decisions that they make out of love, because they recognize self-love and they do what we try to change our habits to make better decisions for ourselves for our future. Whenever a person goes from the fear mindset to the love mindset, can ego, because ego is whenever it's your self, correct? It's your self awareness, correct?
Well, your ego is the mediator between your conscious and your unconscious. So most of your negative emotions come from ego: fear, anger, jealousy, gluttony, lust. All of that stuff comes from your ego. It's ego based. And it's the mediator between your conscious and your unconscious mind. So it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, all on how you choose to work with it. And taking the Master Energy course and learning how your body reacts, learning how your energetic body works with your physical body will help to answer some of those questions as you move forward. Understanding how the physical body works. Now, if you're going to get into the brain and how the mind works and, all that stuff, I'm not an expert on any of that. I'm just an expert on spirituality, and I'm not even an expert on that. Okay. But all I know is that what we were talking about as far as the ego is concerned, ego can get you in trouble. And it can get you in trouble when you allow your ego to make major life decisions for you, when you allow ego to determine who you are, your personality. When you allow your ego to take over, that's when you get in trouble. And as with anything within our physical bodies, there has to be a balance. You have to have the balance in the energy systems. You have to have the balance in the physical, all of the circulatory, digestive, skeletal, all of your physical symptoms have to balance out as well as your energy systems. So once you learn how to balance that out and learn to decipher ego from higher self, which it will always be looking for your greater good. The ego, she can't find the button. Oh, good Lord. Sorry, not you. There's somebody who's trying to get in and they can't find the button. Gulchin is in here. I'm going to allow her to speak also. So, once you learn to decipher between your higher self and your ego, when I'm in the fifth dimensional consciousness and I'm doing those energy transmissions that I do, I'm leading with my heart, with that 528 frequency right from the center of my heart. When you lead with your heart, your ego can't and won't do anything bad. So you're on point, Shanna, with what you're saying, is that if you lead with love and you stay with that 528 frequency and go forward with that, you're going to be able to know that you're making all the right decisions that you need to make for yourself as you go on that journey. And your ego will start to quiet down a little bit. Did that help?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. These guys are trying to get in. I don't know if I even put the, the problem is I'm getting off track right now, but the people that are trying to get into this channel right now, I have to add them because they're brand new and they're nowhere in the thing. So they can't get in. And I can't add them because I'm not at my computers. I'm at a computer, but not the one that has Telegram on it. So hopefully, Jackie might be able to, as an administrator, add them to the channel, I'm hoping. So we'll be able to get them in there. So welcome to all the new ones that just came in. If anybody has anything that they want to share or anything that they want to say on the topic, please do so. I do have to tell you this is being recorded and is going to be uploaded to YouTube, but you have a choice of coming in on video if you want to, or just audio. Anybody want to add or say anything or ask anything about ego?
Okay, sorry about that now that I'm not in the middle of things. I did have more of a sense of, I guess, almost like a sense of conviction. And I think that's more of a, like my higher self telling me, whoa, wait on certain things. Because before, I mean, my ego would get the best of me. That's always been a problem of mine. And it took a lot. It kind of started when I first started watching, you on TikTok. I, found more interest. And I mean, my ego's kind of come to me in a good way, but it's also been a hindrance. So there's times where, yes, it is a good thing because you want to feel good about yourself. You want to have that self-esteem, but it can also be a bad thing too, because you definitely don't want to feel like, you're better than everybody else. You don't want things like that. So, I mean, I'm noticing more of a conviction type feeling. If I'm
right. And I think, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
No, what I was going to say though, and I think what will help with that too is, now that we know that we can listen to our solar plexus, we can listen to that energy center, that power center within us. And we correlate that higher self with that solar plexus, with that energy center. And again, then the ego starts to quiet down. So, and then you're true to yourself. There's nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, everyone should love themselves first. We lead with that, love yourself first, and then the rest will follow. That's universal spiritual law. You'll learn about that in the energy class too, for those of you that are just coming in. So, knowing that you're able to listen to that solar plexus and listen to that higher self allows that ego to kind of take a back seat. And then, again, you're leading with that 528, you're leading with that love frequency. And when you lead with the best intentions in mind, that's what you're going to get back, that law of attraction. What you put out is what you're going to get back. When people walk around being egotistical, and I guess I could use an example without using names. So there's a person that is on social media right now that is so ego driven that each time they speak, and they're on several different platforms, each time they speak, it is not leading with love, but leading with, I know everything. I am the answer. Follow me. I have all the answers. I'm going to get you where you need to go, and you need to follow me. And we are running out of time. And each and every time this person would pop up on my social media feed, my solar plexus would start, and it would turn. It would just make this funny gut feeling. And I knew immediately that this person was leading with their ego and not leading with their love. Anytime somebody tells you that they have all the answers and that this is the path that you need to be on, you might want to question that, okay? Because the whole purpose of being on this journey and being on this journey with me is to find your own purpose. And, you know, we go along on this journey, and we learn things, and some things stick with us and some things don't. And if they resonate with you, you keep them. And if they don't, you leave them. And, you know, I had posted a couple of pictures earlier on, I think it might have been in here, with Raphael, who's going to be 8 o'clock on Zoom, guys. If you want to have a beautiful sound bath, you don't want to miss that. But Raphael has been part of my soul family for, I'd say, a long time, a very long time. And I have no idea where I was going with this. Squirrel. I could totally just lost my mind because I got excited that I was going to see Raphael. I have no idea. Can anybody bring me back to where I was?
You were talking about the person that on social media that whenever you come across their feed.
My gut feeling. Yes, my gut feeling.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm telling you, this is what happens. So here's a perfect example, is that, you know, we were talking about how if somebody tells you this is the way to go and follow me, and these are the answers, and this is what you have to do, you really might want to question that. And I posted several pictures on this platform of Raphael, and Raphael's been a part of my journey for a very long time. And the thing is that we were at a Tao ceremony together, which is where the actual monks come in, and you actually give gifts to the altar, and you pray to, I don't know who, I don't remember, it was a while ago. But my point was that during that whole ceremony, there were certain things that really resonated with me, and there were certain things that didn't resonate with me. And my soul took what resonated with me, and I ran with that. And then I was, you know, of course, I was raised Christian, so I took what resonated with me there. I studied a little bit of Buddhism, not a lot. I never, you know, picked up a Buddhist book or anything, but just a lot of the teachings that I do. The Reiki came from a Buddhist monk. So I took what resonated with me, and I left the rest. So I have to unmute some of these mics. Good evening, Christine. Thank you for coming in. Michelle, I'm so glad you made it. Lisa, I'm glad you're here. All right, so we are still talking about ego, and I'm the only one talking, so I need somebody else who wants to
I did
talk.
notice that the Reiki helps when that ego feeling kind of comes too.
Mm-hmm.
If that helps any, you know, starting up another conversation there on the Reiki point of it.
Yeah, and that's the daikyo. So once you're attuned to that daikyo, and you're attuned to that energy, that master symbol, that energy in itself will quiet your ego right down. When I started doing these attunements, my ego left the room. I was a little nervous going in. I didn't know what to expect. And when I tell you, the minute I said, we're going to take a couple of deep breaths, and then it just, you know, I clear out your chakras, and I leave the room, and there's nothing there but this energy. And to be able to go and experience that without having that ego, without having that judgment, is a gift in itself. And that's what I wish for everyone that goes through any of this training with me, that they come out the other side being able to perfect that. And you're not going to be perfect it at every single moment of every single day, but the times that you set your mind to the fact that you're going to perfect this, at that specific time, and whether it just be a time of quiet time for yourself or meditation, taking a bath, taking a shower, whatever time that is, you can obtain that egoless mindset and just be, and not have any expectations of yourself or not have any expectations of other people. And once you can do that, it's a beautiful place to be in. So would anyone else like to share anything on ego, any comments on ego, so that I don't have to be the only one talking? Anyone?
I wish I could raise my hand if that was. I think, I don't know if this aligns with what you're talking about specifically, but something that popped in my head was the 4 agreements.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does that align, would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And I don't know them by
I have
heart,
but I was drawn to, like, okay, go get the book and go read them.
yeah,
Can I read them?
please do. Please
Okay.
do. Please do. So what Allison is going to do right now is exactly what we're talking about. In the Reiki tradition, they have the just for today's. But what Allison is bringing up are the 4 agreements. And Allison, take it away. You can give the author and everything.
So this is Don Miguel Ruiz. The 4 agreements are: the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Second agreement, don't take anything personally. Third agreement, don't make assumptions. Fourth agreement, always do your best.
Absolutely. And you've got the 4 agreements, you've got the Reiki principles. And if you look at the comparison between the two, they're basically having you take accountability for your actions and you making sure that you're leading with that love, with that positivity, and without that ego. And again, we mentioned early on, ego's not a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing if you allow it to define who you are. There's a lot of people that live in what I I don't like to do it, but there are people that live in a constant state of victimhood. And they reign there because it's a comfortable vibration for them. It's maybe caused by childhood trauma. I don't know what causes it, but they stay in that victimhood, and it's a very comfortable for them to stay there, and that's their ego keeping them there. If they were able to look outside of that and see that 4th dimensional consciousness thinking that we talked about earlier, and see that there's a whole world out here, and that they do have the power within them to rise above that. They have that power to be able to become who they were meant to be. We all incarnated here to receive ascension, to receive enlightenment, to achieve, I should say. Do we always do? No, we don't. Sometimes we have to come back and redo it again, if that's your belief. Or, we make a decision when we get to the other side, if that's your belief. I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't believe as far as life. I'm just saying universal spiritual law, which was apparently given by God, whoever you choose to call your God, were laws or principles that were given to live life in that love frequency. And with everything that we do, there's a consequence for that. And I personally would rather lead with that love and put myself out there in that respect than to lead with not so much love, because that's what I'm going to get back, and I don't want that. but it's not always easy. And I think that's why I chose this topic for tonight being the first one that we're doing, because for me, my ego was really in the way a lot this week, because I thought I had to control everything. And I thought, you know what, I've never done this before, but I know I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to make sure I follow everything that I was supposed to follow and read everything that I'm supposed to read of. And you know what? I found out very quickly that it doesn't work that way. Once you release yourself and you let go of that control, the possibilities and that feeling of being without ego is amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm just curious, and if y'all don't mind, I'm kind of going to go through. Lisa, if you're comfortable, would you like to speak and introduce yourself and let me know what's going on? You don't have to. I'm just figured it'd be easier if I call on people. She's like, I can't find the button. All right, I'll take that as a no. Michelle?
Okay. Yes, I was totally confused tonight. I wasn't able to find things. A couple of the ladies in this room finally guided me to the right place. Let's see. I just happened to find you on TikTok when I was scrolling, and like, you're one of the most interesting people I ever saw on there, if not the. I don't know much about this topic, and I'm sorry I was late. I tried really hard to get here. I took a long time ago. I took some classes on Reiki and healing and auras, and so I think I'm way out of that by now. But I am interested in the energy. Definitely interested in this.
Awesome. Michelle, welcome. Thank you. We have some veterans in here who can attest that you're on the right journey and you're on the right path. And always remember that the journey and the path that you're on is yours. It's nobody else's. And there's no one that will be here to tell you that this is what you should do or this is what you shouldn't do. This is all about finding out who you are and what works for you. So welcome in, and thank you for being here. And I'm going to ask you to, unless you want to speak again, to go ahead and mute your mic. Thank you. All right. Golchin, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Would you like to speak? No? Okay. Janelle, I see you just popped in. Hello.
Hello.
How are you tonight? Good?
I'm doing good, yes.
Good. Okay, so what else can we talk about on ego? So there are, I do think that there is a difference between ego and self-esteem. So you have, like I said, that ego that goes between your conscious and your unconscious, and your self-esteem, which comes from actually it comes from your root chakra, but that's your sense of survival, and the sacral is your creativity, and your solar plexus also can also identify or help with identifying who you are. And I find it funny that those lower three chakras are also the masculine energy. Your feminine energy are the higher, and your lower chakras are the masculine, the stronger, the warrior that's within us, that we can find that self-esteem and find who we are without leading with our ego, without the I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but to be able to, move forward with a self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, and not move forward with, I'm better, I know it all, I know what this is all about, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you're stupid. And again, that person that I was referencing earlier, that's on social media, was all about, this is the way, you have to do this, you have to do this on this day, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. And you know what, guys, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you. The vibrations of the earth are rising. Okay. There is a shift in energy that is taking place on earth right now. so many people are starting to wake up. So many are starting to wake up into that fourth dimensional consciousness that we talked about real early on in this. And as they start to wake up, their frequencies start to rise. So what's going to happen is the more people that we can get to wake up, and the more people that can raise that frequency and raise that vibration, that's when we are able to live in harmony. That's where we're going to be able to match the frequency of Mother Earth, where we can just kind of jive and thrive together. Right now, there's so much division that everything's kind of off kilter. And with that off kilterness, with that division energy, it's creating us to be divided in our personal lives, in our relationships, and more so internally with ourselves. And that's for me where this ego came in, was that I was in a personal battle, with what it is I'm doing. Why am I doing it? This was not planned. This wasn't something I said, oh, I think I'm just going to get on here and start teaching stuff. It is definitely divinely guided. And when you're divinely guided by something, you have to step outside your ego. You have to. I have to. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying I have to. For me, I have to step outside of my ego. And that's what I'm hoping I can get others to do too. So, let's see. Tanya, would you like to speak at all? You don't have to. You could just say, no, I'm good, or yes, I want to. If you want to turn on your video, you can do so. Take that as a no. I guess this is just really turning into the Donna show. Somebody said we should call it the Donna show. And that's okay too. We'll just pick topics every week and just talk about them. But I'm pretty much talked out of ego at this point. I really don't. And I had planned on this being a 45-minute endeavor, and we're at 40 minutes. So we did good. I think we did good. And I am definitely going to jump over to that sound bath with Raphael on Zoom. I hope that everybody takes advantage of that, because it will definitely soothe your soul for sure. For sure. So before, I still have a couple of minutes. Is there anybody that wants to really jump in and have anything to say or share or comments, anything? I'm here. Just let me
Another
know.
thing that wouldn't this fall into the ego too? I know, like, before, there's a lot of the profiles on like TikTok and social media where, they're not legit or they're fake or whatever they are, but it seems like they want to shut you down and, in most cases block you. I know we've had discussions about that when you question what they're stuck in their mindset. So that,
Yeah.
Wouldn't that kind of fall with their ego? They're so stuck and no, this is how I believe it goes. So bye-bye, you're, off my page.
Yeah. People have a very difficult time just scrolling past things. People have a very difficult time hitting a block button because their ego wants to get involved. Their ego wants to stir that pot. Their ego really likes to see, or feel or experience that turmoil. And, there's also another factor to that, not so much the ego, but in the world that we're living in right now, and with the division that's going on right now, there is, without a shadow of a doubt, that dark versus light. There is, without a shadow of a doubt, the darkness is seeping in. So what is happening is the darkness is seeking out those of us that have the light, and they're going to try to shut you down. They're going to try to dim your light, so to speak. And that is even more so why I do this every day. This is why I do this, sometimes a couple of times a day, because for me and the spiritual tribe that I have with me and behind me and that has been with me, I'm very empowered. So what I do is I take that empowerment and I help others to get themselves empowered, because we can't have that happen. That's going to be the end of our world as we know it if we allow that to happen. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And you'll see it anytime there's any positivity on any social media, they will shut you down. And that's all part of that division energy. That's all part of that darkness versus light. And oops, oh, hello. I just made my screen really big. Didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to make sure that nobody else came in that I missed, because I am on my phone. But so yes, Jess, it does have a lot to do with ego, but it also has a lot to do with the darkness, and it has a lot to do with people that are just miserable. And, you know, we talked about that in the class too. We talked about the mirroring and how a lot of times what people are feeling inside, they'll project out onto another person because they're so miserable, that they will mirror that out. And, it's a very sad way. It's a very sad way to live. And, you know, there was one that came into my live, I don't know when it was, day before yesterday. And they were extremely negative, extremely judgmental. And by the end of the live, they were apologizing. I didn't see it. It was brought to my attention later by one of my mods, but that's the power of what we can do. That is the power of what you can do, with your energy. And that's able to shift other people's energy so that they understand that, you know, they don't have to be negative. They don't have to be mean. They don't have to be judgmental. All they have to do is be, and it's an amazing place to be. So, does anybody else have any burning desires or questions? It is 7:45. I'm right on the money. This will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can go back and watch this, and you'll be able to, if you think of any other questions or anything, and then if you want to come up with a topic for next week's energy talk, we can put it in for next week and just run with it. And what I'd like is for other people to share. And be able to, you know, maybe do like a what do they call that? A showcase. Like if somebody really wants to tell their story. I tried to do this on Instagram a few months ago and it didn't fly. That was my fault because I didn't stick with it. I jumped into teaching. But I am on Instagram at 11 o'clock every day. That's where I'm doing my lives. I am coming off of the other platform. And I may every once in a while go live there, but I'm pretty much moving myself away from the negative energy that's over there. So I appreciate you all sharing in this energy talk with me tonight. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'll upload it to YouTube probably later on. If you don't have the Zoom link, it is in the, I want to say, it might even be in this one. It might even be in this chat. I wish I had it in front of me so I could tell you, but there's a Zoom link that I posted for the sound bath that comes on at 8 o'clock on Zoom. So you don't want to miss that. And does anybody else have anything real quick? No?
It is
All
in
right.
this chat link.
Oh, it is in this one. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So yeah, so the link to the Zoom is in this chat link. And, so make sure that you hop on over. I'm going to suggest that you put on headphones and just relax because it's a beautiful experience. I will tell you, Raphael does a lot of the Om chants. He does a lot of chanting, but it's a very soothing. It really does just work with your chakras, and it's a very relaxing experience. So I'll see you all over there, hopefully. If not, I will be back Monday at 10 a.m. No, that's a lie. I'll be back at 11 a.m. On Monday on Instagram. So, all right, you guys have a blessed night, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Thank you, Donna.
Take care.
You're very welcome, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You're welcome.